Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Excuse me. It is 7 o'clock. So I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby returns to open session of Council at 7 o'clock p.m. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, thanks, Mark. And Mark, you can let the minutes show that only those matters that we went into closed session were the only matters that were discussed. And we don't have any public meetings this evening, so now we're down to consent. And I have a motion moved by Don B. Marshall and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that items A1 to C1 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted, and further that authorization be given for the actions to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Any questions on this motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Mark, I'll let you hand out those motions to take effect. Brings us down to communications from Mayor and Council. Is there any communications that any of the council members have? Any updates? Doug, Councillor Hutchison. You want to try your mic?
Sure, this is the appropriate place, but we are organizing some events for the Frazzle Fest, which is going to go ahead in Durham. There was some question whether it was going to happen, but the BAA has taken on the leadership of that, and we have a number of events going on. Snow sculptures are one of the big events. Last year they did ice sculpturing, but they felt it was a little bit expensive, so they're going to try the snow sculpture this year around town and invite the businesses and the schools and the homeowners to get involved. So hopefully that'll go over well. And we're working on a number of activities that will happen on the Monday, which incorporates Family Day also. So we're sort of bringing it all together as under the umbrella of Frazzle Fest. But in the meantime, I'm also meeting with Newstead Recreation Board and the Ayton Recreation Board to have some activities going on in Ayton and Newstead on the Monday, which is Family Day for them. Okay. So that's taking place, and I believe there's a letter that was sent just asking council to give us the go-ahead and I guess cover the liabilities of the events for the weekend, but we're not at this time asking for any monies. So not sure if it's the right order for that to happen.
No, that's great. No, great spot. Thank you, Doug. Larry or Mark, on the liability, I mean, I guess I'm looking for a little bit of support or direction. How far would you be thinking on going on that? Like if I fall off of Frosty the Snowman, you're looking to cover me on that? No. Or is it just...
well, they're...
Carrie indicated once the committee is appointed, basically the events.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only one that...
It's not so much the events, it's more of the committee around, being a committee of council to...
Yeah, I guess covering the committee themselves and the organization, and then I guess the municipality would obviously have coverage for other events that take part under that umbrella.
Yeah.
One that's we are going to pursue, and we haven't finalized it, but looking at getting a horse and wagon rides from the arena and maybe behind the arena, the ball diamonds, and back up. Mm-hmm. We talked about going into town and viewing some of the snow sculptures, but then that maybe becomes a bit of an issue when you start putting the horse on the highways with the wagon, so we sort of steered away from that. But we're looking to maybe have that happen on the Monday also while the skating's going on, and we got some snowshoeing, some skiing, and some open display demonstration events like kickboxing and Zumba is also going to be there as demonstration events on Monday. So that's within Durham's Frazzle Fest.
Yep, okay. Well, we'll look forward to that. And yeah, if you can bring us forward the names for the next, by the next council meeting of.
Yeah, I believe Mark has that. It's in
No,
it's in
we got
there.
it in the consent one? All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Sorry.
Yep, then they'll be on that, on the committee and be covered as a committee of council, so that'll work fine.
Okay.
All right. Any other communications? Councillor Lawrence, Carol?
Thank you. Just was mentioned today at the Newstead Rec Committee, but the ballots, excuse me, the Christmas in the Village, there was a ballots in each of the stores, and people, when they were and visited the stores, filled out a ballot for the draw. There were 250 signed ballots for one day in Christmas in the Village in Newstead, so that's pretty good. That attracted quite a few people into the downtown.
Would have been somebody to turn it back anyways. Okay, anything else, communication? Just wanted to communicate that I attended the Saugeen Valley Conservation AGM last Friday, and the new chair is Luke Charbonneau from Saugeen Shores. Luke's the deputy mayor there. A number of mayors, and a number of quite a few number of new board members around, and some individuals have been there before, such as myself. A few years ago I was board member and I'm back now, and look forward to some new and exciting work at the Conservation Authority under Luke's guidance. Brian Gamble from Chatsworth, Dan Kerr from Aaron Eldersley, and are the two vice chairs to form the executive committee, and Michelle Couture from Kincardine took the position as past chair to fill out the executive committee. So a number of other committee appointments and whatnot, so look forward to seeing good work from the conservation and working with them on a well-planned aspect coming forward in the future. Okay. Nothing else then? Delegations, Mark? We don't, there are no delegations this evening. No business arising. Don't have any, staff doesn't have any, council has none. Then that brings us down to staff reports then. All right, you got them here for us. Director of Finance is the first report Carrie has there. And the first one is on the vouchers. She has two vouchers, one finishing off 2014 and the first one for 2015 are in the package. Any questions or comments on that? The Director of Public Works is up to date on all those financial numbers. He would answer any of them for you. Carol, Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you. It's on page 9. It's a small amount. However, it has been allocated to the wrong budget. It's a check to Wayne Peffer for $36.65, and it was Christmas tree lighting in Ayton on the 1st, and they've charged Parks for the refreshments, and I believe that was Ayton Rec fundraising. If it was refreshments, the Ayton Rec Committee was provided the refreshments, and Wayne got them, so that should be allocated to the Ayton
All right,
fundraising.
we'll see, yep. We'll see Larry making a note of that. Get a hold of Carrie and or Lori. Don, Councillor Marshall, you have a comment?
Page 11.
Can you get Bev to turn the mic on for you?
Bev's under the table, you'll have to wait.
Not gonna go there. Don, back to the accounts. What do you got there?
Page 11. A conference, December the 12th, alcohol, 12 people for $374. Is there a party I'm not invited to, or wasn't invited to?
Larry, you got anything on that?
I don't have any idea if the council.
Well, then I can tell you it was, yes, you weren't there. That would have been, there was a dinner, and I can tell you that the payment come back out of, from the mayor on that one.
On the revenue side.
Yes.
All right.
Okay? It will show covered off. All right, any other questions? I had one, and Ken, I'm not sure where it is. It is under Newstead and Durham Water. And it was, there was 12 water meters for Newstead, $1,200. And there was 12 for Durham, but they were $5,600. Are the bigger ones in Durham that, or was there more in the materials? It said just the materials.
Water meters have been recently purchased, but I wasn't aware there's such a discrepancy in the price, but we'll check that out.
Okay, I mean, it's materials and meters, and in Newstead, it's about $1,200, and in Durham, it was $5,600, so, but it just had 12 meters for each one, so it just looked a little
Okay.
strange. I think Councillor Thompson saw it too, but, okay, yeah, if we could just check that out.
Councillor Lawrence.
Carol?
Sorry, I should have mentioned this one on page 10, Mr. Mayor. Permit from Saugeen Valley Conservation. This may be just the way Carrie's doing the accounting on this, but it was a permit for the walkway bridge at Newstead, and it's charged to Parks Newstead, and indeed, it's, again, coming from Newstead Recreation Fundraising. Now, it may be that Carrie puts it there and then draws, I don't know, but it's Newstead Rec that's paying it.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, there was, and some funding from the Newstead Lions Club as well, too, for that project?
Not yet, not until
Well, yeah, but they're putting some funding into that? Yeah.
$2,000
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Any other questions on the accounts? Seeing none, then I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson and seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 25, 2014 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $298,010.34 and presented as voucher number 1, 2015 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $203,408.10. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. And the next one that Carrie has here, I've gotten under your consent, is the Valentine's Market. Yep. The Rona Building, or Murdoch's Building Supplies, as some people may recognize it as out there, had a very successful Christmas market, and an individual is proposing these dates, January 30th, February 6th, and February the 13th for a Valentine's Market from 4 to 9 as well too. Any questions or comments before I introduce the motion for that? I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Don B. Marshall. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby supports the proposed Valentine's Market to be held at the former Rona property on January 30th, 2015, February 6th, 2015, and February 13th. Can I put that in there for you, Mark? 2015, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And further, that municipal staff work with Bev Burgess on the formation of a budget and to deal with other pertinent issues such as insurance coverage, etc.
There's a bit of a budget provided.
And I think in the proposal, the resolution got put up, but there is a proposed budget put forward there showing a net, hopefully a net revenue at the end of the day. It was a positive from the Christmas market, so we'll look forward to that. Any other questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Yep, I think that's it for Carrie's report.
I don't know if she would have said to have your time sheets in here or not. Maybe at the calendar.
No, at the committee of the whole, Carrie will have a comment on our time sheets, one of her regular ones. Okay, we're down then to Director of Infrastructure, Ken. And if you could just give me a second. The first one is on the Normanby Arena furnace. And obviously, it's not working too well. We have the facilities manager sitting here trying to stay warm. Is that why you're here, Tom? Okay. Thank you very much for being here. Can you, Tom, I think you want to speak to this. Can you use the mic there so that we can get all the words out to all of those ones listening on Wightman? We have a furnace issue, and who wants to speak first, Ken or Tom? Ken apparently is getting the point from Tom, so okay.
Yeah, at the Normanby Arena, Tom has found out that the furnace requires either major upgrades or replacement. And we're certainly recommending that the furnace be replaced because of the age of it. I believe it's, Tom mentioned it's 12 years old. And also the Freon would have to be upgraded after 2 years, or apparently there's Freon in the system too. It's an
The air
HVAC.
conditioning Freon is out of date or obsolete. It's R2, I believe that Emke Schaub told me, and it is obsolete if we ever have to replace the Freon in it. No, they don't make it no more.
Yeah, we were able to get 2 quotes, one from AirTech Mechanical and also one from Emke and Schaub, and the lowest quote is from AirTech. So, and I believe they have one in stock and they're able to put it in almost immediately. Is that right, Tom?
Yes. They hope to have it in if they get the okay to go before this weekend, before the hockey tournament.
Any questions? Carol?
Just, I believe, I'm sure Larry and Ken and Tom have been talking to Carrie, but I believe we have that money in reserve from capital. There was monies last year that wasn't, of the 50,000 that wasn't used and went into reserve. I'm not sure just how much is there. Ken, you probably know, but I believe there's enough to cover it. Isn't that what Carrie said?
There's enough to cover it. We put another 50,000 in this year, which will be partially used for the washroom renovations. But there was 50,000 put in last year too as well, which we used 15,000 of.
Right, so we should have roughly 35,000 there from last year, so. It won't affect this year's budget other than having to show us an expenditure, pulling it from reserve.
Just that this will be an expenditure before the budget is passed. So don't come up with anything else, Tom. Do you have a question, Doug? No? Okay. Any other comments, questions on this? If not, then I'll hand out the motion to get us on. It's just one of those things that happens. Life is the way it is.
Yeah, I found out about it on 10th of January at a hockey tournament. I started to get high levels of carbon monoxide in the building. I shut the furnace off immediately and had Emke Schaub come in on the Wednesday, which was, I believe it was the 14th, I'm sorry. And they said, yes, the furnace is, there was a fire inside the furnace itself, and there was a crack in the heat exchanger.
Don? Councillor Marshall?
Did they say that was the normal lifespan of a furnace, 12 years?
When they asked me the age of the furnace before he did his inspection, I told him that the furnace was installed in May of 2002. And he says, so it's 12 years old. And he says, that's probably the limit for that style of furnace that's in there. No, looking at my own home furnace, it's 19 years old, and I'm hoping it doesn't blow up next week, but.
Okay, any other questions on this then? As I said, hopefully for the hockey tournament on the weekend, that things will be up and going and being able to keep it going.
Well, AirTech and Emke Shop both said that they would be able to have the furnace, they're both in stock, they'd be able to have it in place as long as the conversion kit is in, which has to be ordered from the States. So whichever direction you guys tell me to go, I contact them tonight yet. And they would get things rolling.
Okay. Well, well, I'll relieve you of the suspense right now, and I'll read the motion, and you'll figure it out which way we're going, Tom.
Thank you.
I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson and seconded by Doug Hutchison. Excuse me. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby accepts the quote from AirTech Mechanical to replace the HVAC 15-ton rooftop unit at the Normanby Arena. Excuse me. At a cost of $15,180 plus applicable taxes. Is there any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. So get a hold of the AirTech boys, Tom, and it seems to be, they give us a fairly good quote there. Okay. Any, don't think you have anything else, Ken?
No, I haven't at this time.
Any questions of Mr. Gould? Anybody want to talk about the sunshine, lack of snow, which is a good thing? Snow removal is still doing, budget is still okay, and the equipment's working well, I think. I haven't heard of any incidents.
Yeah, everything's going along well. We haven't got a lot of snow, but it seems like they're out every day, taking a couple inches off or whatever. So they were out again on Sunday with the high winds Saturday afternoon, and then we had a little bit of rain early Sunday morning. They were out doing some winging and also some sanding. Some of the areas got slippery, but we haven't had any real heavy accumulation of snow, but still just in the third week of January.
Groundhog hasn't risen yet. We'll wait until his prediction comes first. Doug, Councillor Hutchison, use that mic.
Sorry. Maybe, can you update us maybe about the water main break that happened last Thursday night? I'm not sure if people are aware of that.
Yeah, there was a water main break on Garifraxa Street, I believe, near, just south of Tom Saunders, along in there. I guess the water was coming up through at the boulevard there. It was one of the few times that in Durham that it comes to the top. Quite often it's leaking and you have to find the leak with our equipment, but this time they were able to find out where it was, and I think once they got one leak fixed, there was another leak in the same pipe just a little bit further down the pipe, another foot or two that they had to fix too. So
Wasn't there a break not too long ago, like maybe within a year or two, in that same area? Seems to me I thought I saw them working on there, wasn't there? Just north of that, okay. I see. Thanks. Yeah.
yeah, that is an area that does quite often give us trouble along both sides of the road there.
Okay, any other questions for Ken? Oh, seeing none. And thank you. Then we'll go on to, the CEO Deputy Clerk's report.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item is the delegations to the 2015 Ogra-Roma Convention. As indicated previously, I indicated that we have made 4 applications as the municipality of West Grey. I also wanted to advise you that based on discussions with my lower tier counterparts, we're also going to be submitting joint applications with Southgate, Grey Highlands, Chatsworth, and Hanover in regards to issues such as the expansion of natural gas to rural areas, tile drain loan rates, and the OCIF SCF funding process and allocations. Those were submitted as of Friday afternoon, so they did make the cutoff time for the ministry, and now we sit and wait until the ministry advises us whether or not we have any delegations. So I will keep council informed as that goes on. Second item on my report is an update on the federal application for the Neustadt Dam. Under the Recreational Fisheries Conservation Partnership Program, we did make application. Unfortunately, we will not know whether that application will be successful until the federal year-end or new budget process, which will be unfortunately not until April or mid-April before we hear from that. In the interim, because of the timelines involved, we'll only be able to work on the dam itself if we get funding for it from July to mid-September, which puts an extremely tight time frame in the process. And bottom line is in speaking with the consultant, he recommended that we actually start the municipal environmental assessment process on it. That comes with an estimated price tag of $20,000 to do that process, which is kind of risky if we don't get the funding for it. But bottom line is anything we did on a go-forward basis with that area would require the municipal EA anyway. So I put it to council as a possibility. With the treasurer being away on holidays, I thought this would be the time to ask if council would be willing to do such a thing. Your worship, I look for council direction.
What does council think on it? Don, Councilor Marshall.
Try it again.
Sure.
I think I'd speak against this, and I don't think there's a project that would have to be done in 2015. It could wait till 2016 if we got the grant. And I'm not really sure if the project should go ahead in the first place, and we shouldn't be letting Mother Nature just take its course and let the dam disintegrate and fence it off to make it a safe area. And so I guess I'm against the funding for the engineering or the environmental assessment.
Any other comments? I will say, in going forward, we will need to do something. I think, Don, I understand what you're saying about Mother Nature, but in this case, Mother Nature didn't build the dam. So we may have to do some assistance to get it back to being Mother Nature itself. I think that it's not, I think, in my opinion, Larry's given us an update of where we're at right now. Could this wait until we have a little bit more? I think Committee of the Whole special was going to talk about budget next Wednesday, and that would still...
That's correct, Your Worship, next Wednesday.
Be a little bit more. We do know that budget is very tight. But it's one of those things, what are we going to do? It's our dam. My concern is by letting Mother Nature go, if some of that embutment comes out, and whether it's the mill, part of the few other buildings that are down through there and along there that go out with it, my concern is for the safety of that as well too. So maybe if we can get just a little bit more information by January the 28th of,
Special committee on budget deliberation.
yeah, special committee of the whole on that one. Would that still be enough and a bit more of an update there, Larry?
If there is any additional information, I'll bring it to that meeting, Your Worship, if that's council's direction.
Okay with that? I doubt if that's changed your mind much, Don, but we'll have one more person and be in a little better position as to where we're at with budget at that point in time. Go ahead.
In my opinion, I think it's that we're not being forced by a higher body to do anything with that dam. As far as I know, we're not being forced by the Ministry of Fisheries or Ministry of Environment or Ministry of Ag, Ministry of Recreation to do anything about that dam. So just wondering what the push is on to get spend a lot of money on it.
Go ahead, Larry.
The only point I would make to that in regards to that, you are correct. We're not being forced by any level of government to remove the dam, but we've looked and looked to find funding to fix or replace the dam. There is absolutely no funding for that type of project. This was the only project we could find where we could get some kind of funding to assist us in the removal of that the dam, which is why we brought it forward to council and which is why it's before you now. So that's the reason. And just there's some funding. That funding will be available for next year, fiscal 2015, but as of March 31st, 2016, they do not know whether funding will be available for the fiscal 2016. And I'm not saying that as a threat, I'm just advising you what we've been told, that funding may or may not be available for future projects. So that's why we brought it forward at this point in time.
Doug? Councillor Hutchison?
Just a comment, maybe I'm reading this incorrectly, but you're saying they want us to, you're talking about going ahead with this environmental assessment, but it says further down that there's a risk that the project could be denied. Wouldn't we want to wait until we're sure that the project is going to go ahead before we do the environmental assessment?
My comment in regards to that, Councillor Hutchison, was that we're going to have to do an environmental assessment regardless of what we choose to do with that area. So if we went ahead with the environmental assessment, there's a certain amount of time frame that's required. By the time we get the approval in mid to end of April, we wouldn't go through the timeline process to have the environmental assessment completed in time to have the full 2.5 months to work on the project itself. Right. We may only wind up getting 4 weeks or 6 weeks to work on the removal of the dam if the project is okayed and moves forward. Mm-hmm. So it's the time frame that we're looking at expediting somewhat. And by having the municipal environmental assessment out of the way, that would then allow us to move forward ahead, provided we had council authorization to do the removal of the dam itself.
Okay. I guess it was just the fact I didn't understand they had to do the environmental assessment anyways, regardless. So.
Okay.
Just, when that
Just-
noise happens, if I put my phone, it stops.
You put your mic. You put your mic on?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making some notes here, so.
You any good at fixing microphones and just furnaces, Tom? Oh, okay. All right. Leave it at that. Very good. Okay.
Your Worship, the third item on my report is a request from the Elmwood Joint Fire Board to allow Elmwood to surplus the 1973 GMC tanker and the 1994 Freightliner pumper and allow them to proceed with the sale of these vehicles. And the request for that is attached to my report. Looking for council's direction on that.
We have a motion on that. And just towards the Elmwood Fire, the Joint Fire Board, with the sale, will that go to that will more than offset the purchase of the new vehicle?
Oh, absolutely.
Just a suction hose.
One.
Oh, yeah, one hose.
No.
Is the idea behind that, put the funds into reserve or put it to offset? It's not going to be split back to the two municipalities type of thing? I would hope that that's what they would do with it. Okay, board? I just find it a little strange that you have to come and ask the municipalities to make it, declare it surplus.
We looked up in our operating, and that's what we have to do. It has to be approved by both councils too. I guess because it's a joint,
Right, yep,
it works under a little bit of a
different beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just- They buy trucks on their own go, but
But we're allowed to buy, we just can't sell. I wrote the book. No.
oh, no, I'm not going to give comment on that, how old that bylaw is. I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Bev Cutting. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Garry hereby deems as surplus goods and authorizes the sale of the 1973 GMC tanker and the 1997 Freightliner pumper as recommended by the Elmwood Fire Department Joint Board of Management. Has the board advertised these two vehicles, or how long will
We
the,
wanted permission to do so, and now we will, yes.
so it'll be a 6-week, 30 days, whatever, or 2 months?
2 months.
Okay, just in case I run across somebody and they're looking for a tanker, I can tell them where to find one at a reasonable price, okay? Doug? Yep, go ahead, question.
Just, you had mentioned about the funds. Are we going to put in the motion about suggesting that the funds from the sale go into reserve? Into the fire?
I would think it would be up to the board. My suggestion would be to put them back into their reserve truck fund.
Okay. So you don't want to make it part of that motion?
Well, Elmwood is
I don't-
board, it's
Yeah,
not a
so-
committee, so
okay.
Yeah.
They can do that.
We can tell them they can sell it, we just can't tell them what they can do with the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As Bev said, she wrote the bylaws, so, oh, that's right, she is chair, too.
You're right.
I think that that's, would be cognizant, would be a good idea for them.
And that's the intent.
Yeah. There was some comment about refurbishing one of these trucks or something, or sending
Well,
it
that was the original, that was one of the original thoughts, but upon research, it was going to be a lot more than was feasible. So we'll get, these are not worth big dollars, as you can see the years on them, but at least it'll give us something back to offset some other purchase of some sort, so.
Okay, very good. Any further questions on the motion? I'll call the question, and all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried.
You have an addendum report, that'd be under addendum.
Oh, okay. All right.
Your Worship, if I could continue, there was one report that went out later on Friday afternoon for council, and I dubbed it Report 19A to go along with this report this evening. May I go with that?
Well, we'll put it under, what we'll do is just put it on as an addendum.
Okay,
Because it
fair
really
enough,
wasn't in the
Your Worship.
package, so yeah, we can do it as an
enough.
addendum on the RMO
Fair enough, sir.
in the box, so we'll do it under addendums. Yeah, come out later, okay? All right, anything else, Larry? Mr. CEO?
No, sir, I
Other than
believe
your
that's
agenda item?
brought you up to speed, except for this last report, sir.
Yep. Any questions for Larry? Seeing none, then we'll go on to bylaws. And if I'm not mistaken, Mark, we have 3 tonight? So we'll send them both ways. Okay, we'll start with bylaw number 4, 2014, which is an amending bylaw to the Elmwood Community Center Joint Recreation Agreement. I have a motion moved by Doug Hutchison, seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that bylaw number 4, 2015, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A to bylaw number 5, 2008, being a bylaw to enter into an Elmwood Community Center Joint Recreation Agreement between the Municipality of West Grey and the Municipality of Brockton, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and the CEO, Deputy Clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. And the amendments there were a little more flexibility on insurance and the auditing for the joint board. Going there, it was pretty restrictive the way it was first drafted up. Okay. Any questions, other questions on the bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Carol?
Could I ask a question of Mark? Have Brockton passed this same bylaw?
The CEO has noted that it will be placed on the January 26th council meeting, or their next council meeting. I forget, maybe 22nd, 26th. But yeah, they are on board for passing it.
And then they'll notify us of the same?
I would hope so. I'll be doing that tomorrow as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Okay, number 5 is a bylaw. It was recommended for approval from the Planning Committee from the abate. It is a motion moved by Don B. Marshall and seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that bylaw number 5, 2015, being a bylaw to rezone lands described as Part Lot 45, Concession 3, SDR, Geographic Township of Glenelg, Abate of Ontario, Association of Bikers for Awareness, Training, and Education, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and CEO, Deputy Clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Is there any questions on this bylaw? Don, Councillor Marshall.
It says in there that it can happen on any weekend, including a long weekend, right? And then the, down here it says that it happens on the August Civic long weekend. Is that a discrepancy that should be corrected, or?
What's the other section there?
No.
I.
Hmm?
It's in I that it can be held one weekend, including a long weekend. It's not specific to the long weekend. It doesn't say.
That's, you want me to find that?
Right here. So it's in the actual bylaw.
Yes, the one we're passing now.
So it's in 5s. It's under the second
3.1.
3I or 3.1, yeah, whatever that is.
3.1.
It should be specific.
think the original intent was obviously to limit it to one weekend, but I don't know if it was, the intent was really to limit it to that specific weekend, even though that's when it does happen, but one weekend event. But obviously, is that the site plan agreement? No.
This is a special event to be held one weekend,
Yeah.
including a long weekend.
Yeah, I believe that's not the intent. It's limited to one weekend, but I don't think it was that specific to the August long weekend, although that's when it does occur, but I suppose maybe it won't be, if they want to change it to another long weekend or just even a regular weekend, I suppose.
So we find with, so the next one will change then, the next bylaw will change?
So it's like the agreement.
When we get there?
Yeah.
Because under 9, under special provisions, it says the event is to occur on the August civic holiday weekend. So we have to clear either one or the other.
Okay, I would say the site plan agreement should be, so 9A should be, 9B1 should be amended.
So that'll be the next one? All right. So for this one, we're fine then, Don, with the way this bylaw is written? Okay. Going to, if there's no other questions on bylaw number 5, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Yeah. Okay, bylaw number 6 is the site plan agreement between the municipality and Abate. Motion is moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 6, 2015, being a bylaw to enter into a site plan agreement between the municipality of West Grey and Abate of Ontario, Association of Bikers for awareness, training, and education, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed as amended and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, be engrossed in the bylaw book. So the mover and seconder find with the amendment, I believe, friendly amendment coming from Mr. Marshall, that the site plan be similar or cognizant with what's in the bylaw, in the zoning bylaw, that it be one weekend only, including a long weekend. But it could be that way. Okay, good point, Don. I think everybody's reading it thinking that it would be the long, August long weekend, but going forward, it may change, you're correct. So, to be consistent, thank you. Any other questions on the bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Number 7 is just the confirming bylaw. Mark, do you want to speak to this?
As council may be aware, the municipality or the council in the past has typically just done a confirming bylaw at the end of each year, calendar year. However, after some discussions with other clerks and more particularly discussions with their CEO, it was felt appropriate to do a confirming bylaw for each meeting of council. Basically what that does, council in the Municipal Act speaks through bylaw or resolution. So, you know, if there's ever a question whether or not a resolution should have been by bylaw, et cetera, that basically confirms that it's the same act as a bylaw, so it gives some substance if it goes, you know, to any kind of court proceeding or whatnot. So it's something of a boilerplating for the municipality. So it was felt appropriate to do that each meeting, so that's the reason. And the reason why it's going to be amended, just the last and whereas clause did actually cite a different date instead of today's date. So that's the one amendment.
Okay. Bev?
So if it's going to be a bylaw that's, or a resolution that's put through each meeting, could it go on the consent agenda?
It actually would be a bylaw,
So
so
a
no,
bylaw,
not
okay.
typically, we don't do by
Okay.
consent. yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to introduce, it's moved by Bev Cutting, seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that bylaw number 7, 2015, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 19th, 2015 council meeting, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed as amended and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Okay? Any questions or comments on the bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Thank you, Mark. So if I'm not mistaken, that brings us down to, that's it for bylaws, Mark?
Yes.
Any new business? Mark?
I received some correspondence from the planner for the town of Meaford. They're looking at potentially holding what's called OACA. It's the Ontario Association of Consent Authorities. Basically, consent authorities deal with severances and minor variances. So that's one of the organizations that I belong to as a member, as a secretary treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment. So they have, there has been some expression or interest expressed for holding a OACA training session for any council or committee members that would be interested in attending that. So they are looking at some suggested times and dates. Now, to be honest, I don't feel necessary for me to be there. I think I got always things to learn, but I don't know how beneficial it would be to me, and it may be beneficial to some of the newer members council members on Committee of Adjustment, or even existing ones for that matter, but I just wanted to gauge if there was any interest in attending such a session.
Yeah, it's going to be a little hard to get, but
I could just express that there's interest and see what dates come.
if we could just say that we could have interest. I mean, it's orientation, and trying to understand probably the provincial policy statement, the PPS, might even be, well, that might not be just one afternoon, Mark. As we could be talking a couple of weeks there to get through that part, but I think it would certainly encourage if we had the opportunity for it to happen, to have council members take a look at it. So let's say that we would be.
I assume there'll be some cost.
There probably is going to be, but it probably would be minimal, at $25 or something like that, maybe.
Okay.
Okay? All right, good one. Addendums. Oh, sorry, new business, sorry, Don. I was just moving along here. Go ahead, Councillor Marshall.
Got a date or something?
Yep. Yep, it's called a pillow.
At our last council meeting, we had a resolution come from the town of the Blue Mountains about the funding that was allocated towards the social services and uploading and all that jazz, and Blue Mountains was concerned with the county keeping half the funds that maybe should have come back to the municipality, and I got thinking about that, and I think maybe we were a little hasty on just filing that resolution. The money was collected from the taxpayers of West Gray for that program, and we uploaded that money to the county. And I believe they have a point that maybe that money should come back to the municipalities. And we should, we'll find a spot to put that in a capital project somewhere.
would say for you, there is no question that the municipalities can use that, the help and the support there. But you asked one question the other day, and I did follow up with that as to what the county's asset management deficit is. The county to raise 1% on the levy is about $540,000. Projected over the next 15 years after the asset management study was done, the county will need to raise on average 1.8% tax levy to cover off the projected deficit in capital funding through social housing, administration, corporate services, and long-term care, and the transportation. So that, I think you're looking at close to $800,000 a year that the county has not raised in the last 2.5 years on their budget, and being able to do that have left the municipalities with, as I said before, a window of opportunity to backfill some of that tax space by keeping budgets at 1%. I think it's 1.1% over the last 5 years on average. And the county will need some funding. And if that all goes back, what it would do is, instead of the municipality and being in a shared position, the municipality, the lower tiers, are going to gain, and the county is going to be the full loser. 2016, the county will have to start identifying that deficit, and instead of having a little reserve and sharing kind of a 50-50 on the reserve, they're giving 100% of this year's $2.3 million back to be able to, that the lower tiers will be able to fill that, which we've discussed on. But the thought is, in 2016, instead of that 1.8, it'll probably, to accelerate it, if all of the 5.6 was going back, we'll be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a 5 to a 6% county budget increase. And where have we gained as the taxpayer? Because it's only one taxpayer. We collect at West Grey for the county. If we're going to take it all back next year, we're going to feel it right here as the county ups budgets, or ups the budget to fill that need for the capital expenditures that are projected. Then we're going to be looking at absolutely no room for our budget in 2016. The way it's projected, or the way it's introduced for the county right at the present moment, it's a win-win. It may not be a home run, but for either one, but at least it is both sides here are getting a hit in this one, and not one hitting a double and the other one striking out. Best way that I can explain it to you. I can tell you that there is a councillor in Hanover that's projecting, that is said publicly, I think it was in the Post last week, that he thinks that the county should keep all the money because it was collected for social services. If it comes back to the municipalities, we don't look after social services in that effect for mental health, ODSP, Ontario Works, and those types of activities. So it should stay there. If it was collected for that, it should stay. It should all stay there. So that's the deputy mayor. That's his take on it. Quite a few other people have said no. I think it should be a split, so that Both sides get an advantage. The county and the municipalities are in a partnership. So let's try and be partners on this and not have, as I said, one side winning and one side losing. If it's kind of split, then both sides are winning. In my mind. Go ahead.
Well, I would say that Councillor in Hanover is promoting double dipping. He's got the province taking money, uploading to provide a service, and now he wants the municipality to give up their share of the money for the same program. So either they're gonna, that money that the county's saving is not gonna go back into social services, because that's being paid for by the province. So that money will be leaked off into public works or wherever it's gonna leak off to. And the county should have been planning for this 2 years ago. And if they have to strike out and we get the double, then so be it. It was our taxpayers' money. The municipality of West Gray's money, taxpayers' money. That's now being held by the county.
Interesting when you would say that, so the way that the program was set up, it was that it would, as that money would come back, you would backfill some of that transition funding. The municipality that proposed this, at the 50%, they more than cover off their transition funding, and yet they still want more. Obviously, that'll be West Graves dollars, a number of other dollars, that they're getting more of that transition funding than they're losing. West Gray, even at 100% of it, we won't be getting it back. But as I said before, where it's going to go is at 2016, 17, 18, the county is just going to have to raise it that much more. So you can either leave a little bit of it there, or you can take it back now and watch it all go back up in the next couple of years. To say that the county hasn't prepared for that, the county was preparing because they had not put or hadn't spent that money. It was put into reserve, so it is there. And the idea was that that reserve would be used to offset once the asset management plan was done and identified where our the greatest needs are. Then you could use that reserve, and that's what it was set aside for. Instead of giving it back, all of it back, and then turning around and collecting, giving it with this hand, turning around and collecting it all back with the other hand to satisfy or to complement those needs that are identified at the county as well as at the lower tiers here. But I'll say that it's not your decision or my decision, it's a consensus decision here.
Oh, yes.
And we've got 4 other individuals, we're having a great conversation about this, philosophical, and 4 other ones that are got their heads down right now. Trying to get their mind probably wrapped around all the funding and the formulas that are used to make this.
Well, it is a difficult thing to get your head wrapped around. And it seems like the county sounds like it's been collecting money for 2 or 3 years that they knew was the province going to upload this program, and they were still collecting the money for it and putting it in reserves.
Yep, I'll agree with you there, but I think, in defense of Grey County, they did very well in collecting the money and putting it into reserve for the fact, is the province going to continue it? And that was always the biggest fear since 2009. Would the province, once they really hit, some financial strengths, were they going to continue doing that, or were they just going to cut it off totally? What we didn't understand when it was first said the upload is going to happen, everybody thought that was great, that'll be nice, and it'll transition down. What wasn't identified was, yeah, the upload happened, all right, but it was spread over a 10-year period. The money that the county got was taken away immediately. So Grey County, as I've explained before, borrowed from the reserves, paid back to the reserves, and to make sure that the province was going to continue that upload even when they got into financial difficulties. We're very thankful, I think, to the province that absolutely that happened. Where the difference with Grey County is they put it into reserve. I know there's a couple of other counties out there that went, ooh, look at that, and used it to knock their budget down and or have spent it. Grey County, as I said, is the only county in Ontario that in a two-tiered system that is giving any of it back, or any part. And that's what the province said, was that in a partnership, there was one part of the government that, your municipal government that was gaining, it had to be redistributed in some form to everybody to get the gain. Grey County was, the expense was going off, but part of the expense that was coming off was from the lower tiers in Grey County, that their transitional funding for some of that social services we were losing. And that's where, as I said, over the next 2 years, we stand to lose here in West Grey 660,000, Larry? About that. There's 200 and, is it 200 or 325 that are coming back from the county on this?
Not 200.
I think it's 227, but there'll probably be in the tax, in that, the ability in the tax window or the backfilling of what the county isn't, because the county right now is pushing towards a minus 2% levy for this year. I know that West Grey's in a bit of a difficult situation, but we would like, I would like to see us somewhere in that 2%, maybe, between 2 and 3% for West Grey as a total when the tax bills go out to the West Grey residents, that they'll be seeing something in that inflationary rate. Quite obviously, we'll be filling some of that backspace that the county is leaving for us. It could, could the county give it all back? Yes. But I think what all of that's going to do is, you'll see, is it a drop this year? And there'll just be the same amount of tax being picked up next year as the county has to increase their levy, and not any space for the West Grey taxpayer to continue to backfill that space. My mind is it's a win-win for both. If it's a 50-50 split on the reserve, we have Rockwood Terrace here, we have a number of county roads here. It would be nice to see some of those social services. It would be nice to see some of those soft services. Maybe the county could use that backspace filling or that reserve funding to have a county library system. Just saying. I have said it once or twice before at the county. Never give up. Any other comments? I think we, at the last meeting, didn't we? Yeah, we noted and filed that. Right. And accepted it. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so this issue was received for information at the last council meeting, so obviously if Councillor Marshall or anyone else wants to bring it back for council consideration, I think there'd be two options. One would be a direct motion. It would require a 2/3 majority to introduce, or you could provide notice of motion, and then it would come to the next council meeting for voting purposes. So.
I would think there's there's no comments besides between you and me, so I guess that the resolution probably would fail anyway, so we'll leave it filed.
Okay. Any other new business? Addendums. We have one. Larry?
Thank you, Your Worship. I had an amendment or an addendum, excuse me, in regards to this meeting this evening. It's the RMO in a box. What it is the final commitment of West Grey. To this point in time, we've just agreed with it in principle. What we're requesting this evening, based on request from the county, to look at a financial commitment from municipality to participate in this program. That's the RMO in a box in regards to our source water protection program. They're suggesting that our cost would be $2,500, provided all of the participants that have agreed in principle to proceed with this process continue on with that agreement. To add some leeway, they're requesting that we put aside an additional amount of funding up to a maximum of $2,000. So that's $2,500 plus $2,000, which would be a total commitment of up to $4,500 from our budget, and that would come from our funding that we received from the province for source water protection. The county has checked with the province, and it is an eligible expense under that program. So the money is available. We do have it in our coffers. We just need the authorization from council to expend it on this program should council deem to follow through on the RMO program, which is in consultation with Bruce County and Grey County, the lower tiers in Bruce County, and 5 of the lower tiers in Grey County. So I respectfully request council's authorization to support the resolution that I put forward. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. So I need 2/3 to introduce an addendum? Yep. Okay, well, no, let it sit out there, but I'll vote. I need 2/3 majority to introduce an addendum or a direct motion. So that is the direct motion that Larry wants to bring forward. All those in favor of introducing the direct motion? Any opposed? So that has the 2/3 majority mark. Declare that. Motion is out there, so if we can have somebody sign that. And we'll introduce. Thanks, Mark. So I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Bev Cutting. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby confirms its participation in the RMO in a box program for an upset limit of $4,500 with funding provided from the source water protection allocation. And RMO or RMI? Is it?
It's RMO, it's Risk Management Officer.
So, yeah.
That's correct.
So I think they're kind of one and the two. I think they're developing, yeah, both of them. Okay. Any questions on the motion? As we said, we did receive some funding that would fully cover this off, receive some funding from the province to put this in place. So that's where our money would be coming from this. It's not tax levy dollars at this point in time. Doug?
Question, unless there's a motion, question maybe to Larry. Is it okay to ask that now?
Sure.
Can you just, maybe in layman's terms, Larry, explain briefly what this is?
The recent legislation for source water protection requires each municipality to put a source water protection plan in place. That plan was generated on a joint venture between Saugeen Valley and I'm going to get this wrong, but the North Bruce Peninsula Conservation Authority.
Grey Sauble.
Grey Sauble, I'm sorry, excuse me.
3 groups in there.
There's 3 groups involved in that, and it's a plan that came out of that organization, which we are part of. And one of the processes is to put an RMO. It is mandatory to have in each community. You can have a joint RMO, but or RMO, RMI program itself is a designated official that looks after the source water protection within your community. And this is a program which will identify it. It's where you're going to use GIS through the county to identify each individual property that's going to be affected and how it is affected by the source water protection in regards to our source water areas within our wellheads within our communities. Excuse me. Excuse me for that, but does that give you a bit of background?
Right, so this money is going towards staff for this, or no?
This money is going towards staffing and for programming to put this in place so
Right.
that we can then look at it. And if you recall during the budget process, one of the items we brought up was funding for an RMO for the community here. And they would then use this tool that's being created as part of their program to look after source water management within the community. What's great.
Thank you.
As Larry had said, it's dealing with GIS, the mapping, but being able to put a template together on what the risk management officers would be able to use, you know, their tools, putting the tools in the toolbox for the individual to go out. Because if not, then if we didn't come together, we have to come up with all the forms and the mapping and everything like that. So they've thought putting together and using some of the county resources and a collaborative effort here. No, there was some monetary gain on becoming a partner. With that, there was a bit more funding made available for it as well. But what it's creating those tools that we were all individually asked to go together. So we're coming together to do it with the county that thought they could do it. So, and the other thing, that makes it then more consistent throughout the watershed as well too.
So just to further that, then this is a new program that we haven't had in the past, right? So there's nobody been really looking after our source water protection in the past? Well, not say no one, but it hasn't been a official program.
Well, yeah, there's, you know, I think we've all been conscientiously doing it, but you know, we've all been conscientiously doing it in West Grey. Not going to speak for other municipalities, but in 2001, they certainly weren't conscientiously doing it in Brockton. And that's where part of well, no, it's not where part, this is where this is coming from, to be able to have closer oversight on those wellhead, on the capture zones of where the water is coming back in to those aquifers and being able to protect that. That was part of what came out of it, that we needed to better protect those capture zone areas and what was in there. You know, does it come down proper storage of, you know, chemicals, gasoline, fertilizers, kids' toys, you know, yeah, you know, farming that has done that.
So this would have come from recommendations as a result of the Walkerton situation, was it not? So it's taken us 13, 14 years to do this?
The source water protection that came out of McMurtry's report, O'Connor, sorry. Get all those judges mixed up, too many of them. Out of the O'Connor report was, part of it was set up a source water. So the O'Connor report took almost 3 years to get through and done up and put out. By the time it went through, it was another 3 years of what's O'Connor want in this. And the last source water protection's been on 5 years now. The committee itself on trying to develop. So yeah, it's been about 13 years to get to this point. Now, I think that there's a lot more understanding and control over how we're producing water and putting it out there. This is just, you know, the next phase of protecting that valuable asset. Okay? It's been so long. Did I read this motion a long time ago? No? I thought I did, but I think I did. I remember the $4,500, so. Oh, good, I have that. Yeah. I have introduced the motion. Any other comments on? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, that's it for direct motions, notice of motion. Closed session, I don't believe we have anything in closed session. Mark, that was discussed earlier in the meeting. So we're down to question period. At this point in time, I'll take questions from anybody in the audience that has a question on anything that was on the agenda this evening. I'll open the floor up. Obviously, we've answered everything to the audience's satisfaction. I thank you for that. Oh, Mr. McPhee, obviously I sparked something there. John.
Site plan, is that just housekeeping?
No, that is the fruition of our work over the last 2.5, 3 years with Abate and their planners and the individuals that were doing engineering, delivering a number of items to us to be able to get this bylaw and site plan in place. So we'll have that going forward to be able to watch and hopefully be a good community citizen that Abate abides by what they've agreed to. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. Municipal Act notices, Mark, I don't think we have any. Ms. Cutting, do you have anything that you would like to put? Motion number 20. Bev moves that we adjourn. I'll accept that motion. We'll stand adjourned until February 2nd. I believe is the next council meeting or call of mayor. February 2nd would be Groundhog Day. I expect everybody to be in Wyerton at 7:35 when Willie shows his furry little white head. Whether we see his shadow. Okay, thank you very much.